What's going on, everybody? David here. Today we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about the stimulus checks and how people are receiving a second stimulus check even though there hasn't been a second stimulus check approved. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about a report that was written by The Hill where they were talking about Democrats and how they want to put the brakes on stimulus checks, which I think is very misleading. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But first off, on this channel, we talk about personal finance for travelers. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the little bell notification so you can get future updates on my videos. So the first thing I want to talk about today is stimulus checks and how people are receiving their second stimulus check. Okay, so let me pause and tell you guys all this. There is no second stimulus check going out right now. So if you are a person and you are receiving another check, you need to send that check back, okay? Because there's no second stimulus check has not been approved or anything like that. So make sure you follow the proper procedure. I'll post a link here. I did a video about how to send if you get like a paper check, how to send that back. If it's direct deposit, how to handle that. But if you do receive another stimulus check right now, understand nothing's been approved by the Senate. The House did approve something. They sent it to the Senate. The Senate has not done anything with the HEROES Act. So do not, if you get another stimulus check, do not cash it and spend the money, because you will be, the IRS will be getting that money back from you in taxes or something. So you want to make sure you follow the proper procedures when it comes to that. But nonetheless, there are people that are receiving a second check. So what's happening is there are some people, and this is an article that was in NJ, so it was a New Jersey paper, and basically what they're saying is there was a husband and wife. They filed jointly, but they have separate bank accounts. So the stimulus checks on April 15th they both received stimulus checks, so they received that $2,400. It went to the husband's bank account. So the wife is receiving some type of disability benefits, and she has a separate bank account. So just recently, she received another stimulus check. So situations like that, like I said, I can't overemphasize this. You need to send it back. Do not spend that money, because the IRS will be coming after you for that money. And then there was another lady that said she received her first stimulus check April 15th, and then she received another stimulus check. So it's crazy. I know how crazy it sounds. Like, you have people who haven't even received a stimulus check, and you have these people who are getting two stimulus checks. So just be on the lookout for that. Also, when it comes to the debit cards, be looking for those debit cards in the mail. They say it doesn't say anything about IRS on the envelope, so make sure that anytime you get anything in the mail, I would say in the next month, anytime you get anything in the mail that you can fill a card inside of it, you want to open it up, you want to read it thoroughly, make sure that it is either junk mail, because a lot of it's junk mail, but you might get that card, and it's a very generic way that they have it set up. It's by MetaBank. That's the bank where who issues the card. So just be aware of that. You don't want to be in a situation where you cut that card up or you throw that card away, and now that was your stimulus check that you just threw away. So you don't want to be in that situation. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is this article here from The Hill, and it says Senate Democrats pump brakes on new stimulus checks. So if you look at this, you're thinking, okay, Senate Democrats, that means the majority of the Senate Democrats are not for stimulus checks anymore. What's going on? So it's one of those things where you want to click on it because you see that title, but it's pretty misleading, because you have really one, maybe two Democrats that have raised questions about the stimulus checks. They're not saying that they're against stimulus checks. They're just saying we need to target people who receive the stimulus checks. We can't just give it to everyone, so we need to make sure it goes to the people who really, really need it, which is understandable. I understand that. One thing that I will say, as far as the way that I see it, is you do need to give it to a broader base. You can't just give it to people who really, really need it, because a lot of those people, yes, they're going to spend those checks right away, but they're going to be spending on rent, and they're going to be spending on other things that might not stimulate the economy the same way that if someone, let's say someone's still working and they get an extra $1,200, they're going to spend it on some other things. They might not spend it on just rent, but they're spending it on going to the grocery store, maybe buying some other essential items that they need, and that will help businesses that are coming back online. Plus, if you have people who are doing okay and they receive this extra stimulus check, they might want to go to restaurants and go to some entertainment and spend money on that kind of stuff, which is something that's going to be really, really needed, because I think restaurants are going to be hurt the most when it comes to coming back online, it's going to take them probably the longest. Restaurants and hospitality, those industries are really going to suffer, and it's going to take them a long time to get back. So that's the way that I would look at it. But Senator Ben Cardin, he feels that we should target people. And hey, that's not saying he doesn't want stimulus checks. That's just saying, let's make sure we get it in the hands of the people who need it the most, which is what the Fed chair said. He said, get it into the hands of people who need it the most, direct payments into the hands of people who need it the most so they can spend and stimulate the economy. The other things that they were talking about too, down at the bottom here, I thought was pretty interesting, where they were talking about how there was a negotiation made as far as unemployment. Okay, so we're hearing about this $450 a week to go back to work, and the negotiation that was made in CARES Act was that, okay, we're going to do the $1,200 stimulus check, but people who are unemployed, they're going to be able to get $600 per week. So that was kind of the trade-off that the Democrats and Republicans made to justify only giving one $1,200 check. But now it looks like in July 31st, unemployment looks like it's going to be going away, the extra $600, because the Republicans are not for that anymore. So they're trying to figure out how are we going to bridge that gap and get people back to work. And so now you're going to be left with, if we get another stimulus check, it's going to be a $1,200 check, but you're not going to have that extra bump, the $600 for people who are unemployed. So that's interesting how they did that negotiation. I did not know about that, but it's one of those deals where you see how things work. Like, it's like, okay, you give me this, I'll take this, and we'll do this. So that's how the whole negotiation works. But now that's going to be pulled. The $600 is going to be pulled, but guess what? You're still left with $1,200 as of right now. Now, that could be negotiated, but as of right now, that's the way it looks. And I do want to talk a little bit about, before we go, I want to talk a little bit about the whole $450 thing. I did a couple of videos on that. You can check them out. I'll have them in the card section, and I'll post some at the end of the video too. People are really, really concerned about this in the comments section, and I understand. Like, if you're working right now, that would be the last thing that I want to hear, that these people are going to be able to, if they come back to work, they're going to be able to get this $450. And I think this might actually be kind of a ploy by the Republicans. And the reason that I'm saying that is because we all know they want payroll tax cuts, right? Or at least the president wants payroll tax cuts, and some of the Republicans have been on board with payroll tax cuts. Now, that makes payroll tax cuts look more desirable than this $450, because the payroll tax cut is going to affect everyone who's working, and it'll affect them all the same. So if you get back to work, guess what? You get a part of this payroll tax cut. If you're already working, guess what? You get a part of this payroll tax cut. But the $450 is only going to affect the people who just started back up to work. So it makes sense now. When you look at them side by side, then it's like, okay, well, yeah, you know what? I'll take the payroll tax cut over the $450 boost. So that might be a ploy. That might be one of those things that they kind of put out there as like, yeah, we really want payroll tax cuts, so we'll put something else out there that will really get people talking, especially the people who are already working. It's going to really get them fired up, because they're like, wait a minute, I've been working all this time and suffering this whole time during coronavirus and everything else, and you're going to let someone come in and make $450 a week more than I'm making. That's just insane, right? So maybe that's what they're doing there. They're putting that out there, and even the White House is saying, yeah, you know what, this sounds like a good plan. We're on board for this. But in reality, I think maybe it's one of those things where the payroll tax cut is what they really want. We know Trump really wants that payroll tax cut. So maybe that's kind of the angle that they're going. Now, doing both, I think, would be even worse, because then you'll have someone getting a boost to come back to work, $450, and then also getting a payroll tax cut, while the person that's been working this whole time gets a payroll tax cut, but that's it. So you really are not going to be able to win when it comes to the people who have made that commitment to stay at work. So this will be interesting. So we have this week coming up, June 1st. That's when the Senate comes back into session, and then they will start figuring out what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. The House just passed a bill for the PPP. And basically, it's just extending the PPP, allowing for more flexibility. And this was unanimously approved by the House. And so that will go over to the Senate as well on June 1st, and they'll probably sign that. However, that has nothing to do with stimulus checks. And it's kind of strange because maybe they should have held off on that. Maybe the House should have held off on that. But I think they're doing the right thing. They know that the flexibility needs to be there. They had the numbers. I mean, the majority of people, I think there was only one congressman that voted against it. So it was very, very popular to add more flexibility. It will allow these businesses to spend money in different areas that they weren't able to spend them before. So that's a good thing. But I want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about all the stuff we talked about today? So as far as people getting 2 stimulus checks, what do you guys think about that? Is that crazy or what? And also, what do you think about the Democrats? Do you think the Senate Democrats are starting to pull back? You can read the article. I will post a link in the description so you can check that out. Also, I always have a link to all the Congress people. So if you want to contact your local congressman or senator, you can do that. All you need to do is click on the link, go in there, type in where you live, and then they will let you see who the district congressperson is, as well as the senator. So you'll know, okay, I can contact these people and let them know my concern, especially when it comes to the $450 back to work bonus. If you're working right now, I'm sure you're frustrated about that. I would contact my congressperson and say, hey, look, this can't pass. Contact your senator. Tell them the same thing. This can't pass. And if your senator is Senator Portman, make sure you contact him and say, hey, look, I've been working all this time. What am I going to get out of this whole deal? So that's all I have for you guys today. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.